Hello, it's me, Benjamin. Today is December 16th. Um, I'm still here in the process of trying to get asylum status, and I seem to be caught up in this rather bizarre and strange situation. Um, I am evidently the proof that the global government agencies are participating in illegally, artificially inseminating the general population. And I am also the proof that there is a government agency, a global government agency, that is in fact impeding people's capacity to train and to study and to be educated and to work towards a higher um, education status so that they can achieve higher financial statuses to secure things for them and for their families. But I'm also, but I'm also, I'm also the proof that at this point, if we were to come together as a community and pool our resources, we could explore the universe, which, according to purported scientific information, is expanding, and it is in fact expanding and full of unlimited resources, which means that not a single person on the face of the earth should be living in poverty, and that not a single person on the face of the earth shouldn't have something to eat, and not a single person on the face of the earth should be without a home. Um, So I'm being restrained, and I've been restrained my whole life. I've eaten tainted food my whole life. I'm still kind of wrestling with this whole Jewish thing. I'm not really certain if I'm a Jew or not, but I didn't know I was Arab up until about 10 years ago, 7 years ago. Actually, it actually didn't really set in up until about like 4 years ago or 5 years ago. Um, I kind of wrestled with doing the kosher thing when I saw that I was getting engaged by some sort of religious organization that behaves in some manner that is associated with religious beliefs. And I tried to abstain from pork. There's been times where I've been like vegetarian and stuff, but that's like not really that important. The important thing that I see is that I kind of record my thoughts and my ideas because whenever I record things in like a notebook or something, they always like either bury them or my notebooks disappear. Because of this device in my head, I could sit down and write something on a piece of paper. And every time I go back to that piece of paper, I look at it and see that writing, but there's always a chance that the paper's either blank or it says something else on it. Which means that other people that have this device installed in their head illegally could also sit down and look at my notebooks and not see my writing, but see other writing or writing of that was written by somebody else or somebody that wrote something down so that they can look at it and see that it doesn't say exactly what I wanted it to say. I know this is kind of important because, like I said, I'm the evidence that we're being our women are being artificially inseminated, and they're being inseminated with genetic information that is not organic or probably not tied to what we would desire for our children. Um, there is uh, there is this thing that like I've kind of noticed, and one of the things that I've noticed is that my cerebral capacity is really not what it's supposed to be, and it seems like there's all this evidence that they've been slowing the general population's mental capacities over ever since probably like the 1950s, 1920s, somewhere around there. Around the time that they started getting people to get drunk and go to parties and stuff like that. They've been basically abusing the wholesome and the kind of innocent aspect of what the general population was. But this is what my, uh, at the very least, my vague observation is. I mean, it's always possible that people back then were really terrible and a lot smarter than what they really are, but I'm not really sure. I know I'm relatively certain that people back in the 1900s and late 1800s didn't practice sodomy, and now it seems to be like a real run of the mill thing, and and it seems like everybody's kind of used to practicing sodomy, and everybody's kind of used to blowjobs, and everybody's kind of used to men that dress up as women, and these things are really not okay. And nobody has any way to stand up to to these people and to tell them like we're not okay with being dressed up as women, and we're not okay with you having sex with clone copies of our children, and we're not okay with you impeding our capacities to study or to fight train simply because we're not really loyal to you. I really don't understand this, and I don't really understand what's being done to me, but I know that somebody's interested in my genetic information, and it has something to do with this operation. And it's to the point now where they've taken children from me, and I'm basically being harassed by somebody that operates under the guise of some sort of security administration, but that's not really what they're doing, and they're really not too interested in my happiness, and they're really not too interested in my desires, and they're not too interested in any of the things that I want. And I can't believe that they're acting out of concern for the general population. If the general population is reduced to mental illness and has these devices illegally installed in their head, and also is artificially engineered and artificially inseminated and genetically engineered. But it has something to do with religion. It has to do with time traveling. It has to do with advanced technologies. It has to do with selectively breeding humans out of apes, which is what at the moment, I believe is what it is that happened. Who it is that's in charge, I don't really know. Like, I don't really know how that could have happened. Maybe the people that are in charge of our current state are human beings from a different past, or maybe Earth was just colonized in a way that made it appear that we all spontaneously evolved from apes, and apes that evolved from smaller mammal life forms that survived the extinction of the dinosaurs or whatever. But I really don't know. Like, all the information that I have is the only information that I'm really given, and the taught and purported history and sciences are not up to date, and they're not completely accurate. But I'm trying my hardest to like make sense of what it is that's going on. It seems like I'm surrounded by people that sort of know what's going on, or at the very least don't really care what it is that's going on, as long as their like self interest or their selfish ambitions are realized. I'm put in this situation where like I'm kind of forced to kind of cater to the desires of people that I don't really know, and I really don't understand. Like I said before, I really don't understand why they would put this situation on me, or why they would say that I'm not particularly important after imposing this kind of situation on me. But I mean, maybe it's like the illusion of power or something, or the idea of like, illusion of power or whatever. I'm like more than willing to help with whatever it is that needs to be done, but I'm just like in this situation where like I'm being abused, like to the point where I'm like uh feel like maybe they're trying to damage me, so I'm not capable of helping anybody, and I really don't know what to do about it. I'm trying to be sincere, and I'm trying to be sensitive, and I'm just like, I don't understand why anybody would who worships God would initiate this kind of situation to happening, just to put like somebody who's jaded and angry in charge of trying to make sure that people are okay. But I don't know. It has something to do with Europe. It has to do with buried history. It has to do with people. But there's like a bunch of people that are hiding who they are. There's a bunch of people that are walking around in bodies that aren't theirs. And this thing is like really, really like a big deal, but it seems like I'm being ignored because there's a bunch of police that are guilty of gang raping kids that are tied to me through my daughter, or are actually guilty of gang raping little clone versions of my daughter. And apparently, those police in North America have like contacts out here, and I guess they're tied to English police and French police. And I've got some sort of like growing hostility between me and members of, I guess, the African mob that are like tied to Martin Luther King and tied to the Roman Catholic Church, and I guess possibly the French mob and the English mob and the Italian mob, of course. And the strangest thing is that, like, I'd never done anything to any of these people, and all of a sudden I'm put in this situation where I'm forced to stand up for all the people living in poverty and in ignorance and oppression. And I'm more than happy to do that, but I'm being met with animosity and hostility from all these people, and I don't really know what else to do or how to solve this situation. I'm trying to look out for kids that I know aren't mine by sending gifts to try to hoping that my children hear about it, or hoping that like maybe my children will know that like I meant them well, because I've just never been capable of doing much about anything else other than shooting heroin and shooting crystal meth and masturbating in public restrooms in Los Angeles up until recently. And I'm just such a mess, and my body's just like on the verge of dying. And the only thing that's keeping me alive, if I'm in fact alive, is this device that's in my head. And I'm not too certain of anything. And I don't really know how important these video logs are, or if I know I'm relatively certain that they're not circulated on the open World Wide Web, if it in fact exists at all. The World Wide Web, which I don't really think it exists in the means that we believe that it exists. So, I guess I'm sort of one of like the first public cases of human cloning, and I guess there's a bunch of movies and songs and things that like allude to me or allude to this operation, and like I'm supposed to help initiate a changeover so that we move the global population to a utopian ideal where everyone has access to this technology, where everybody never dies, and in fact possibly gets younger or gets to stay younger. I guess like there's technology that would make it so that you could be 20 for the rest of your life. You could be 20 for 300,000 years. Initially, like theoretically, as long as nobody killed you and destroyed your brain, you could be that old. And I guess the Tanakh, the purported Tanakh, has the story of like the tree of life, and the tree of life actually alludes to the fact that is a possibility to gain immortality. But I guess the resistance to giving these easily accessible technologies into the hands of the average human come from the fact that humans are just so much more irresponsible and not capable of being in a point where they're immortal and then not behaving selfishly or animalistically. But the cool thing about the Torah is that it leaves it open as an idea. So if the next best thing is living forever and never dying of natural causes, then there's no way humans wouldn't go with that and then exist into a point where they've achieved the responsible nature so that they can be immortal and just exist as exploring, thinking, analyzing, growing, evolving things. And so that's like a really interesting idea, like a really interesting thing, because it's like, you can't, if you're not responsible enough and you can't behave like something other than just a mindless, indulgent animal, then you don't get to be immortal. And I think like that makes sense. That's why like the idea of those things not being put into our hands doesn't really bother me. And but there would have to be some sort of hierarchy or social organization or something that would help to make sure that people were being treated justly and righteously. And that's really not the nature or the perception of the court systems and the justice systems and judicial systems and government organizations and government leaders that we totally have now and totally exist. Um, I don't know. I'm doing my best, and I'm kind of getting old now, and I'm like trying to figure out like why somebody would impose these things on me, or why at all anybody would be interested in me. And I don't really feel like people are that interested in me, but I feel like people like just kind of need somebody for something. And uh, I I miss my father, who you murdered. Um, I miss my daughters, and I miss just kind of doing whatever it is that I need to do and not being harassed by people. But there was never a point in my life when I was not being harassed by some sort of government agency or organization. In fact, I've been getting harassed ever since I was a baby, and probably before then. So, so I don't know. I just did a video log, and I've got a bunch of other stuff to say, but I guess like it's supposed to be Hanukkah. I'm not calling it Hanukkah because I'm not really celebrating purported Judaism as a purported Jew, mainly because they've either been infiltrated or been corrupted in some way by the Greek Church. I don't believe that the Jewish philosophies and the Jewish ideals are inherently Greek, because I don't believe that a group of people that like purport idolatry and then like indulgence could turn around and then like purport like these mythologies or ideals or philosophies that are completely sound and rational and scientific. I don't know. There seems to be some like really big division between the Greeks and between whatever it is that is Jewish or Muslim. And I know that I'm sort of like caught up in this situation where I'm being kept ignorant and I'm being kept vulnerable, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I'm not really even in complete control of myself. And I'm forced to deal with a body of humans that are also not in complete control of themselves, that maybe they're trying to do the right thing or maybe they're not trying to do the right thing. And I don't really know. I can't even tell who it is that I'm looking at because of this device in my head. And everybody's using fake names, so I can't get any of them in trouble. And I'm essentially at war with the FBI, and I'm essentially at war with the CIA, and I'm essentially at war with, it looks like, corrupt British intelligence agents and corrupt French intelligence agents. But my assigned task is to show loyalty to all the British people that are salvageable and righteous, and all the French people that are salvageable and righteous, and the British and French that are living in poverty somewhere, and the natives and Germans and Italians, even though how much I like am living in resentment of Italians, and also like the impoverished Arabs of the Middle East and India, and the poor living in Africa. And I've got to help them, and I've got to like make sure they're fed and that they endure and survive this next like economic downfall. And everybody's here just like harassing me, and I really don't know how I'm gonna survive this. And like I said, like I'm honestly relatively miserable, and I'm just like, I don't even know how I've gotten here. But I honestly don't think that what my actions don't really result in some sort of changeover, or my actions or my judgments don't result in some sort of thing being exposed or not exposed, because somebody somewhere's made certain that it has some sort of effect on the general outcome of whatever big event this is. And I'm trying my best to hold on, and I'm trying my best to mean well. And I haven't always been at my best, and I haven't always been a really nice guy. I used to steal. I used to steal when I was homeless on the streets, to eat, and beer, things like that. I never broke into anybody's house. I never stole anybody's car. I was never malicious. I never picked on anybody for like no real reason. Um, but but essentially, I mean well and I meant well. And I don't know. Well, okay, next time.